Hey, baseball way of lifers, how you doing? Today I posted basically a YouTube video of Bob Sheppard doing the Yankee lineup back in 1977 at Yankee Stadium, and that inspired me to do a little bit of research on Bob Sheppard and basically delve into his career and what a career it was, and share some of the information I came up with today. Because I was always enamored with Bob Sheppard, even though I'm a Met fan. I loved going to Yankee Stadium, and games come and go out of your memory bank. Uh, we always remember everything about going to the game, and a lot of times we just forget the game. But one thing I will never forget is Bob Sheppard as the PA announcer of the New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium. And I even recall some of his calls as a Giant announcer, Giants public address announcer in the Meadowlands. But it's funny. I had a couple friends who would memorize everything that Bob Sheppard said, before he read the lineups, about the programs containing statistical data, uh, available through stadium vendors. And I'll never forget Bat Day. Hoist your bat up slowly. Uh, and that's the one thing I'll always remember about Yankee Stadium. I mean, players come and go. The stadium has now left, but the memory of the old Yankee Stadium is always one of the first things I automatically think of is Bob Sheppard. And what a better tribute to a man than to be remembered that way when, with all the great history that the Yankees have, a baseball fan like myself, and I'm not putting myself on a pedestal, I just think a lot of Yankee fans feel this way. I'm not even a Yankee fan, that Bob Sheppard was the total New York Yankee Stadium experience back in the old ballpark. And like I said, for some reason, it really got me going. It brought back a little bit of my childhood. And I read up on Bob, and a lot of interesting stuff. A lot of interesting stuff. One thing I did not realize is Bob was also the PA. I know he was the PA announcer for the New York Giants, but I didn't realize he was the PA announcer from 1956 to 2006. So his run with the Giants was even almost as long as his run with the Yankees, which was from 1951 to 2007. And one of the ones when the Giants were really bad in the 70s, I remember my friends saying we would do Bob Sheppard imitations, and we'd throw in a few Giant ones like Kotar spilled, loss of two. And it was just, yeah, it made actually watching the Giant games, listening to the PA in the background, even more entertaining because they were bad and there wasn't much to root for. Now I'm a Jet fan, figures, right? Jets and Mets. It's always Jets and Mets and Yankees and Giants. But Bob Sheppard uh, actually made me want to watch Yankee and Giant football games. What's hard to comprehend is I always think I've watched a lot of baseball games, but Bob Sheppard announced more than 4,500 Yankee baseball games over a period of 56 years. Oh my Lord. When you break that down, that's almost like 12 straight, more than 12 straight years, I believe, of baseball games if you put them all back to back. That is incredible. And the beautiful thing about Bob is, all these great players that the Yankees had, he experienced 22 pennant winning seasons and 13 World Championships. And he called 121 consecutive postseason contests, 62 games, and 22 World Series. He was the PA announcer for 6 no-hitters, including 3 perfect games. And as I mentioned before, he was the in-house voice for the New York Giants for more than half a century. And he encompassed 9 conference championships, 3 NFL championships, 56, 86, and 90. Remember, back then it wasn't called the Super Bowl back in 56. And he also called the greatest game ever played, according to some, the 1958 championship loss to Baltimore, which is a game people still talk about to this day. Now, Sheppard's smooth, distinctive baritone and precise, consistent elocution became iconic oral symbols of both the old Yankee Stadium and Giant Stadium. And Reggie Jackson nailed it when he said that Bob Sheppard is the voice of God. And Carl Yastrzemski said, "You're not in the big leagues until Bob Sheppard announces your name." What a better tribute. And honestly, everyone talks about Vince Scully. I don't think there'll ever be a PA announcer that's held in higher esteem than Bob Sheppard. The thing is, Bob was always secret about his age. I guess he just didn't want people to know how old he was. But when they dug deep, they found out he actually attended St. John's and he was quite the athlete. And he earned 7 varsity letters from 1928 to 1932, 3 in baseball as the starting first baseman, 4 in football as the left-handed starting quarterback. So Bob could do it. I mean, we just think of him as about hiding behind a microphone, but he was quite the athlete and quite popular too, as he was elected president of the senior class of his college. And then he received a master's degree. Now, guess what he received the master's degree in? Yep, speech education. He went and got a degree in speech education. He should have been teaching the speech education classes. So Bob began his career playing semi-professional football on Long Island with the Valley Stream Red Riders and the Hempstead Monitors. And the pay was big back then, $25 a game. And he taught speech at Grover Cleveland High School in Ridgewood, Queens, New York. And then when World War II came, he served the country in the Navy as a gunnery officer aboard cargo ships, both in convoys and on independent missions in the Pacific Theater. And then after the war, he became chairman of the speech department at John Adams High School in Queens and taught evening courses in public speaking at St. John's. He also served as a speech and debate coach for Sacred Heart Academy's forensic team in Hempstead, New York. His multiple teaching jobs overlapped more than 25 years into his announcing career, and he always maintained that his academic work was far more important than his accomplishments as an announcer. Bob was very humble. He said, "My sports activity cut down on what I really contribute to society, and that's teaching. When I hear from former students and they say I help them achieve their goals, I feel I've contributed more to society than I haven't done in sports. As an announcer," he said, "all I have to recommend is longevity." So he was a well-rounded individual, always helping other people out, always teaching, and of course, he was the voice of God. Now, how did he get his start as a public address announcer? Well, Sheppard was hired as the PA announcer for St. John's football and basketball games, a job he kept into the 1990s. That's another thing people don't realize. He was also, while he was doing the Yankees and Giants PA job, he was also St. John's PA announcer into the 90s. And in the 1940s, he became the announcer for the Brooklyn Dodgers of the All-American Football Conference at Ebbets Field. Did you know that there was a Brooklyn Dodgers football team in Brooklyn back in the 40s? Well, there was, sort of like the Giants, New York Giants in the NFL and up in the Polo Grounds. And how the Yankees found out about him was when a front office official heard him deliver a tribute to Babe Ruth at a Dodgers football game in 1948. How ironic that he was giving a tribute to Babe Ruth, and that's how the Yankees found out about him. He was offered the Yankees job, but he didn't accept until 3 years later when the Yankees agreed to hire an understudy so his duties with the team would not interfere with his teaching responsibilities. So there you see that he always had teaching as his number one priority, and that's good to see. And he debuted at Yankee Stadium on April 17, 1951, with the Yankees' home opener, a 5-0 win over the Boston Red Sox. 1956, when the Giants football team moved from the Polo Grounds to Yankee Stadium, he began announcing their games as well and remained with them when they moved to Giants Stadium in East Rutherford in New Jersey in 1976. And what a way to start with the Yankees, because his first year as an announcer was the only one in which Joe DiMaggio and Mickey Mantle shared the outfield. His first game featured 8 future Hall of Famers. Talk about breaking in, and I'll name those Hall of Famers for you. DiMaggio, Mantle, Mize, Berra, Rizzuto, Williams, Dorr, and Boudreau. Wow. And who was the first player he introduced? Not Joe DiMaggio, but Dominic DiMaggio. And what was his salary? He was paid per diem. He got paid $15 per game and $17 for a doubleheader. Now, like I said, his voice and his style became an integral component of the Yankee Stadium experience. For more than half a century, each game began with his trademark cadence. Good afternoon, or good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Yankee Stadium. Now you could see Bob's probably turning over his grave with that invitation, but I'm trying my best to honor you, Bob. I really am. and his words reverberated around the massive structure. Each game announcement began, "Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen," and he introduced every player as Yankee or visitor, and with equal divine reverence. He communicated players' position, uniform number, name, and repeated the name during his first at-bat. For example, now batting for the Yankees, the first baseman, number 23, Don Mattingly, number 23. And that's how it was. That's how we remember him. He would never introduce the players by their nicknames like Oil Can Boyd or Catfish Hunter. They were always introduced as Dennis Boyd or Jim Hunter. Uh, he once listed his favorite names to announce: Mickey Mantle, and the one I always got to laugh at when he mentioned it, Shigetoshi Hasegawa. And then there was Salome Baroas, Jose Valdivieso, and Alvaro Espinoza. And he loved pronouncing Latino names, that's for sure. He said, Anglo-Saxon names are not very euphonious. What can I do with Steve Sachs? What can I do with Mickey Klutz? But Mickey Mantle always remained his favorite. Sheppard said Mantle once told him, every time Bob Sheppard introduced me at Yankee Stadium, I got shivers up my spine. And I said to him, so do I. Sheppard took great pride in pronouncing every name correctly. He made certain to check directly with a visiting player if he had any doubt on the correct or preferred pronunciation. He admitted that early in his career, whenever the Senators were in town, he particularly feared tripping over, Wayne Terwilliger's name. I worried that I would say Rain Terwilliger, he recalled, but I never did. He did stumble on at least one rookie's name, Jorge Posada, when he was called up from Columbus and made his first appearance as a Yankee in Game 2 of the 1955 ALDS. In extra innings of the greatest game in division history, he put an O at the end of his name. And it's funny because Derek Jeter, because of that, called him Sato ever since, because he was pronounced Jorge Posada by Bob Sheppard in his first game. So that's how Jorge Posada got the nickname Sato from Jeter. And then Sheppard made another rare professional error in October 1976 at the Giants' first home game in New Jersey at Giants Stadium against the Cowboys, when he commenced with the startling announcement, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Yankees Stadium. His other famous faux pas occurred in 1982 at Yankee Stadium when he inadvertently left his microphone on a Shane Rowley gave up double. When Shane Rowley gave up a double in his first pitch in relief, turning a 3-2 lead into a 4-3 lead. Deficit, I should say. Over the stadium speakers came Sheppard's familiar voice. Boy, what relief pitching. So Bob on the live mic, even Bob Sheppard fell victim to the live mic. And then after the game, he felt bad and went and apologized to Shane Rowley. Now, throughout his career, Sheppard famously refused to reveal his age, once abruptly ending an interview with Jim Mountain asked him the question for a second time. He readily disclosed his birth month and day, October 20th, and I think people say he did that because he shared it with Mickey Mantle, but never publicly acknowledged the year. For years, there was conjecture that this compulsive secretness stemmed with a fear from that Yankees owner would think him too old and replace him, but Sheppard denied it. This is what Bob Sheppard said, Steinbrenner never questioned how old I was. He knew I was there every day for 57 years or so. In fact, he said, Sheppard may have been the only Yankee employee never criticized by Steinbrenner, who called him the gold standard. Now, that's the ultimate tribute when the boss, George Steinbrenner, can't say anything bad about you and calls you the gold standard. Now, over the years, Sheppard also was served as an announcer for multiple other teams and venues, among them Adelphi College, which became Adelphi University, New York Titans of the AFL, the International Soccer League, both the Polo Grounds, the WFL New York Stars, remember them? They used to play out in Randall's Island. The All-American Football Conference, New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium. So even we had a football team in New York called the Yankees too. How about that? Did you know that? And then the NHL New York Cosmos at Yankee Stadium, Downing Stadium, and Giant Stadium. Army Black Knights football games at Michie Stadium and Giant Stadium, and multiple Army Navy games at the Polo Grounds. Giant Stadium and Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. So he became the voice of the Army-Navy game for quite a few years. He even said, "You name it, I did it." In later years, many baseball honors bestowed on him overshadowed his work in other sports. And as you can see, everyone remembers him as the Yankee announcer, but he did so much in other sports. Phil Rizzuto, the Scooter, once asked him to name his greatest Yankee Stadium game he had ever announced, probably expecting to hear a good story. He said, "The day Pat Summerall kicked the field goal in the snow in 1958, referring to the Giants' legendary victory over Cleveland on December 14, 1958. Now, when Bob retired from his position with the Giants, it was a 50-year handshake agreement with Giants ownership and Wellington Mara at the end of the 2005 series when the commute from his home on Long Island to East Rutherford, New Jersey, became too strenuous. His final game was a Giants playoff loss to the Carolina Panthers on January 8, 2006, and he was succeeded by his longtime understudy, former debate student and colleague in the speech department at St. John's, Jim Hall. At 95, old age was starting to creep in, and there were health issues involved with Bob, and that's always sad to see, but that's just Mother Nature taking its toll, unfortunately. And in 2006, Sheppard missed his first Yankee home opener since 1951 when he injured his hip. He was back in time for the next homestand, but it marked the beginning of a slow but inexorable deterioration of his health over the next two seasons. He called what turned out to be his final game a 10-2 victory over Seattle on September 5, 2007. The following week, he was hospitalized with a bronchi infection, forcing him to miss the final homestand in the AL Division Series against Cleveland, and that ended his streak of 121 postseason games at Yankee Stadium. Although he signed a new 2-year contract with the Yankees in March 2008, and he particularly looked forward to announcing the 2008 All-Star Game, which was played at Yankee Stadium. He missed the entire 2008 season, and he particularly looked forward to announcing the 2008 All-Star Game. But he just didn't have the strength, and he reluctantly admitted that he lacked sufficient strength to call the final game at the original ballpark on September 21st, 2008. Sheppard unfortunately said, "I don't have my best stuff." He did a recorded voice to announce the starting lineups for that final game, a 7-3 victory over the Orioles. Jim Hall replaced him for the 2008 season, and then Paul Odin, who is still the voice of the Yankees, took over when the Yankees moved to the ballpark in 2009. 2 weeks after his 99th birthday in 2009, Sheppard, the day after the Yankees defeated the Phillies to win the their 27th World Series, I should say, Sheppard announced his retirement as Yankee public address announcer, saying, "I have no plans of coming back. Time has passed me by. I think I had a good run for it. I enjoyed doing what I did. I don't think at my age I'm going to suddenly gain the stamina that is suddenly needed if you do the job and do it well." And then, unfortunately, the next year, 2010, Bob passed away in Baldwin, New York on July 11th, 3 months and 9 days shy of his 100th birthday. So he led quite a full life, and God bless him. And 2 days after his death, the owner of the Yankees, George Steinbrenner, actually he died 2 days before the death of owner George Steinbrenner. And announcing his father's death, Sheppard's son Paul said, "I know St. Peter will now recruit him. If you're lucky enough to go to heaven, you'll be greeted by a voice saying, 'Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to heaven.'" Wouldn't that be nice if we all got to heaven and we heard that Bob Sheppard greeting us at the gates? So then in 2000, just to go back on some of the highlights of Bob's career, during his 50th year as the voice of the Yankees, Sheppard donated the microphone he used for a half century of Yankee Stadium announcements to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. So if you're ever up in Cooperstown, check it out. And then on May 7th of that 50th year was designated Bob Sheppard Day. And yes, a plaque is out in Monument Field now that still honors Bob. It was revealed that day, May 7th, 2000. At the pregame ceremony, Walter Cronkite, what a great man to be at your ceremony, read the inscription, which states in part that his voice was as synonymous with Yankee Stadium as its copper facade and Monument Park. The media dining room in the new Yankee Stadium is named Sheppard's Place. So Bob is still in the memory of all people involved with the Yankees and Yankee Stadium. Now, the first game after Sheppard's death, 5-4 victory over Tampa on July 16, 2010, was played with an empty public address booth and no announcements. Wow. That's when you know you made your mark. And the Yankees wore a Bob Sheppard commemorative patch on the left sleeve of their home and road jerseys for the remainder of the season. The United States House of Representatives passed a resolution commending Bob Sheppard for his long and respected career by voice vote on November 16, 2010. It was introduced by Carolyn McCarthy from New York's 4th Congressional District, where Sheppard lived for 70 years. And how about Derek Jeter? In 2008, Jeets asked Sheppard to record his at-bat introductions. The recordings were used to introduce Jeter's home at-bats from the beginning of the 2008 season until his final game at Yankee Stadium on September 25, 2014. Sheppard was flattered. Sheppard even said, "It has been one of the greatest compliments I've received in my career of announcing. The fact that he wanted my voice every time he came to bat is a credit to his good judgment and my humility." Sheppard's recorded voice also introduced Jeter at the 2010 All-Star Game in Anaheim, 2 days after Sheppard's death. Sheppard voices the introduction of the baseball experience at the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, so when you're there, check that out. And on September 26, 2013, a recording of Sheppard's introduction, followed by Metallica's Enter Sandman, were played as Mariano Rivera stepped to the mound at Yankee Stadium for the final time. His voice was also continued to be used for the opening of the Yankees' annual Old Timers Day ceremonies. And that's what makes Old Timers Day at Yankee Stadium so special, is they still use his voice to welcome everybody to the ceremonies. And Yankee Stadium Old Timers Day is like nothing else. No one could top what they do for opening day. Now, among the other awards that Sheppard had, he was elected to the St. John's University Sports Hall of Fame, the Long Island Sports Hall of Fame, New York Sports Hall of Fame, honorary doctorates from St. John's University, Fordham University, and in 2007 received St. John's Medal of Honor, the highest award that the university can confer on a graduate. And every year, St. John's annually awards the Sheppard Trophy to the most outstanding student athlete. Quite an accomplishment. And they also, the National Association of Sports Public Address Announcers pronounces the Bob Sheppard PA Announcer of the Year Award annually. And St. John's named the press box at Jack Kaiser Stadium in honor of Steve Sheppard in 2015. In 1998, Sheppard was presented with the prestigious William J. Slocum Long and Meritorious Service Award by the Baseball Writers Association of America and the Pride of Yankees Award by the Yankee organization. And he is one of only 2 people ever awarded a World Series ring and a Super Bowl ring. The other was Bill King, the longtime play-by-play announcer of the Oakland A's and the Oakland Raiders. And as that, Bill King's another guy that just doesn't tell his age. Sheppard was married twice. He had 2 sons, Paul and Chris, and 2 daughters, Barbara and Mary, 4 grandchildren, and 9 great-grandchildren. And his first wife, Margaret, the mother of his 4 children, died at 59. He and his second wife were married from 61 until his death. Sheppard was deeply religious, as strong in Roman Catholic faith as anybody I know, wrote his longtime friend George Vesey. In old age, he hated to admit he could no longer serve as elector. His faith never wavered in the trying days. His daughter is a nun. He referred to his wife, Mary, as my archangel, meaning she saved his life day by day. What a man, what a career. I know we just think of him as the Yankee PA announcer, but what a career he had, and all these honors, and how people have worshipped him, and he's so many awards, and everything that's around Bob Sheppard is treasured to this day. And I just want to say it was such a pleasure to hear Bob as the PA announcer of the Yankees. So that's it. I hope I served justice to Bob's great career. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit like. And if you want to subscribe to these, I do at least one a day, and sometimes multiple. And you'll see whenever I get to do one of these baseball updates. So once again, thanks. Have a great day and play ball. Be good.